So let's get started with it. So
Sure.
to all the people that maybe they haven't heard of you, they don't quite know who you are, maybe just tell us a little bit about who you are and what it is that you do.
Absolutely, of course. Hi. Thank you firstly for having me on, Finn. I'm Melissa Whitehouse, and I've had three singles out over the last year. I've been a singer-songwriter since I was 16 years old, and I'm signed with Peer Music. And yeah, I'm kind of doing my own thing at the moment. I normally write for other people over the years. I've worked with lots of different bands and artists. I set my own recording studio up and production company. And I had an accident. It was about 2 years
Oh,
ago, and literally the world stopped, and it just gave me a chance to reflect on my own work, and people said, well, why don't you independently get some music out, which I did. And then it took off in the UK and in the States, and then it started to build in Europe. So
wow.
kind of a bit late to the party as an artist as such, but it's just been the most amazing experience, so I can't complain.
Yeah, no, I mean, better late than never. I mean, it's awesome to say that you're even on the scene like that. You know, so many people want to do it, and that's
Absolutely.
so impressive. And as well, I know that you got signed at a really young age, at 16, like you said.
I did. I
So
did.
was that to do with was I know it was songwriting as well, but did was there any sort of music being made at that time as well?
Yeah, it was literally in my bedroom studio. So I came up with
Wow.
some demos, and then my dad, bless his heart, gave me some money to go into a professional studio. So literally, it's like you block booked it for like 3 or 4 hours, and you had to knock something out in that
Yeah.
time, which is just, yeah, it's very basic. I sent the demo tape off to Capital Radio in London. They had a big competition, which was a bit like X Factor, going back way back. And it was like they were doing it where you would turn up for an open audition at the radio station, and you'd sing on the cross on the X. There were like DJs like Chris Tarrant involved at the time that were judging. And then they basically kind of shortlisted. There was over 10,000 people that had gone forward. And then I went down to the last three, and I got the chance to perform on ITV and at the Piazza in Covent Garden. And I came second, Finn,
Wow. Oh
second.
my
Not a
goodness.
first. I
Gutting. No, that
know.
seems so
I
impressive,
know. I
even
know.
still. So
I
so
know.
nerves are they're not an issue for Melissa.
No, they're not. No,
Good for
no. One of
you.
those annoying kinds of when I was younger, it's like I can sing, I can dance, I can do all of this. It's like, oh God, pull her back.
Not another one. Oh my
Not
goodness.
another one.
No.
No, she can't do the lead
Uh,
again, and she keeps singing in assembly. It's like, oh God, pull her back. There was always that annoying kid at school. Sorry, it was
No,
me. So
it's fine. You own it. It's cool. No, it's awesome. Look
exactly,
look at
rocking
where
it.
you are
Yeah,
now. Look at where you are now.
yeah,
So
exactly,
why
rocking
not?
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I know that, or I think I might have this wrong, that you grew up in Eltham in London. Is that right?
that's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eltham
So
in Southeast London. Yeah.
did that your environment growing up, did that have an influence on the sort of music that you make now?
That's a really good question, actually. I was, when I was very young, when I was about 12, so I don't want everybody ripping me for this, but I was a huge Bros fan, as I used to call them, the Brossettes and stuff, and used to kind of like hang around with these girls that kind of used to follow the kind of the Bros twins, and they always had different kind of eclectic music, stuff from the street, stuff that was kind of like really pop music. PWL was really taking off, so I was always kind of like heading down to the Stock Aitken and Waterman studios, knew a few of the artists and things. So I was always kind of trying to find a way to kind of break into the industry. I didn't have anyone that kind of had any contacts or anything at the time. So it was doing demos, playing with music. There was quite a few kind of good artists, and Kate Bush used to live in Eltham. I'm not sure if she's still there now. But literally, I used to pass her house every day on the way to school, and her nephew, William Bush, was in my GCSE music group.
No
So
way.
he played guitar, and we ended up doing some songs together in the classroom.
Wow.
And I put them forward for my GCSEs, and he kept saying, oh yeah, you have to come around and meet Kate at some point. Do you know what? I never got
Oh
to meet Kate
man.
Bush, but I was like, every day I was like thinking, can I come round to your house? But yeah, how cool to actually go to school with William Bush and have that connection. So as far as music was concerned, though, like I said, it was a real kind of pop thing for me. I've always loved writing pop. I had the opportunity just before COVID to write for Steps, which was amazing. I got shortlisted for the album, but unfortunately didn't make it with obviously you had some major names that were on there.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to write for them. But that experience of writing for a group like that was just a dream come true, because my whole roots have been real kind of the pop side. But then I crossed over once I was about 18, 19 into the more soul-y side, and got the opportunity of working at Soul to Soul with Tony Matthew, who ended up being my business partner, and we set a studio up together. So yeah, I've been on kind of both sides of kind of cheesy pop, soul being a bit more classy, and then obviously when all the street garage thing came around, having the opportunity to work behind the scenes, not physically on the music side, but with Craig David and Mystique, which was amazing.
Would you do vocals over a sort of a UK garage tune? Sort of.
Do you know what
now? I reckon you've got the vocals for it.
Everything I've done recently between me and you, because nobody's listening, are they, Finn? It's very kind of just me and you at the moment.
That's right. Yeah.
Absolutely. There was a track that I've done recently on some great kind of beats that were sent to me, and I thought, do you know what? I've got a little half hour. I'm going to try this in the studio. I smashed the track. It sounds really good, and I'm like thinking, do I put this out under a different name? I'm thinking of like, because it's a little bit of a muddle if it goes on the journey, because at the moment, the journey I'm going on has got a direction, I think. And this is the other end of the spectrum. Okay. So I might just get it out and let everybody have a little boogie on the dance floor with it. So that's kind of in the background at the moment. So yeah, you'll be the first to get a copy if that happens. So
I'm honoured. No, honestly, that is exciting, because obviously that sort of music is like booming at the minute. Loads of especially female artists are doing like the vocals over the sort of UK garage stuff. You've got like Tommy and Perry, Pink Pantheress. There's tons, and I think actually,
and then it's just great. And my son's kind of like 16, and he's kind of bringing home tunes and things. The funny thing is, the other day we were in the car driving along. He said, "Oh, Mum, this is a really good tune." I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking, I used to dance to that song. It's like they're coming around again.
Everything
all the old school classics, Baby D, this, that, and I'm like, wow, this is so cool. So he's looking at me like, how do you know the lyrics? So
this song's like just come out.
Mum used to be cool.
Yeah.
Exactly that. Yeah.
No, that is awesome. Yeah, like loads of things are being sampled now into old newer stuff, and it's great to see. It's great to see. So what was the moment, I suppose, for you that you kind of knew that you wanted to be in the music industry, or has that just always been there?
I think it was always that one. I loved music, and I just thought I want to make a career in the music industry. It doesn't matter if it's kind of behind the scenes, in front, behind, writing, whatever, as long as I could get my foot through the door. So over the years, I worked at Capital Radio, like I said. I worked at MTV. Then I got the opportunity to set my own production company up. So I've been in different areas, from how you market kind of an artist right the way through to kind of getting them signed, right the way to writing the song, putting the full production. So I worked in all areas, which has been a great learning for me. I think maybe why I've launched later with my own solo work, because I not so much lacking the confidence. You've got to have a really good team around you. You're only as good as the team that nurture and get your songs out. And I think sometimes when you are a songwriter, you end up working more in a team environment, and you kind of, as a collective, you end up putting your kind of best efforts into a song. Sometimes you look, you think, wow, the artist singing that song is absolutely beautiful. They've got the whole package. I think with the way the industry is at the moment, and the way that people can produce their own music in their bedroom setup, you don't have to be this kind of picture perfect thing anymore. No. If you're in the 30s, 40s and whatever, the stereotype of that has kind of gone. However, the other end of the spectrum is a little bit ageism. There's a lot of ageism going on. Certain playlists are saying, well, if you're over 30, you're not going to get played. This, that. I got approached by National Press recently asking my opinion on that. I have been embraced in the States. I've had over 11,500 radio stations play my last single. And that's not just me kind of creating that in a dream world. I've actually got the stats. It's kind of been registered and everything. So we know that it's actually working with what I'm doing. The power of the internet, I think, is what I'm trying to say. So I think any of your listeners that are out there, if you're in your teens, if you're in your 20s, or you've just had kids and you're thinking, oh, I missed the boat, always just kind of still head for that dream. If you feel that you can kind of do that, you've got so many ways of doing, music now at home. online apps that you can do things. If it's from remixing to writing a song, there's so many things you can do.
Yeah, no, definitely, I agree with you on that. I think as well, like you say, the internet, social media is so huge. There's so many ways to get your stuff out there as well, and just constantly promote it. Not just even within like locally, like globally, people can see your stuff now if you're posting it online. So it's,
I had this opportunity out in the States to go onto a sports radio station, which I was at first thinking, well, sports radio, okay, fine, okay, I don't mind doing it. I left it kind of open, thought, well, sports is very powerful, it's obviously more of a male market. I had more of a female following with the actual songs, yet online with other things it's more of a male thing, so you get kind of this different demographics. I went on to the actual show but didn't realize that we were live to 700 stations worldwide. So as I linked on, I'm listening, I'm thinking, I can hear American adverts. Then obviously the presenters come on, and then he said, you're live to 700 stations, and it went through the military. So my Twitter blew up, everything else happened, and it was just like, wow, this is unbelievable. It just shows you the power of, I'm literally in London, I'm sitting here on a microphone like I am with you now. I'm thinking, I'm just going on to an interview, there's just me, you, and a few people that are tuned in the radio station, and this just kind of just blew up in no time. It just shows you, if you've got the right kind of attitude, you can find an opening. It can really make things happen quickly as well. It's kind of the right material, the right kind of marketing and things. It's really important.
Definitely. Yeah.
That was a surprise.
I bet. I was like, oh, okay, no, professional face on, that's fine. I'm fine with it.
And the worst thing is, they were asking me about sports. I'm clueless with sports. Who do you support? What did you think of the Premier League? And I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I must have made a complete fool of what I said, but you know, it was what it was.
Who do you support out of interest?
Oh no, see, there's a divide in my house. We have got kind of the Man United, and we've got the Arsenal, which is very, very dangerous when there's a game on. So I just stay neutral. So I stay out of that. I just
the colour.
I just go shopping. I just go do online shopping when the football game's on. That's a wise decision.
Don't celebrate when the goal goes in. It's fine.
No. I just go and get a gin and tonic, and I'm nothing to do with this. So yeah. What about you?
Oh, I'm a Chelsea fan. I'm a blue through and through.
Oh God, Mike, we've kind of gone the whole spectrum there, haven't we?
Yeah, we have. We
have
all of it.
We have. At least we're still communicating and not arguing.
Well,
that's a good thing.
No, it's fine. I hold no grudges. It's fine.
Harmony. Good.
I'll go take it out later. It's fine. I'm over it. Yeah.
You got the punch bag at the back of the studio.
So you mentioned that you've worked with Capital FM and MTV. So before we get like properly into it, is there any sort of anecdotes or interesting little stories that you have from your time there? Any sort of anything that might please the ears?
One of the funniest times was we used to have kind of the sixth floor at Capital was kind of the management floor. So obviously you kind of used to get some important people up there, and you used to have third floor, which was the studio floor. So one artist had come in and then got in the lift, and then basically had come up to our floor by accident, but had kind of not been with their, I don't know, bodyguard or whatever you want to call it. So they were waiting by my desk in a chair with their back to me. So as I walked through the door, I've just been to Pretz, I got my sandwich, I got my coffee and stuff. I've got like my pineapple kind of hair with my scrunchie on my head as I walk through the door. It's a bit of a rough day running around the office there, as it was. We're always busy. And Ricky Martin is sitting in the chair and has asked if I can actually call down to third floor to see if I could find his security. That was a bit surreal because I kind of had a double take of like, you're Ricky Martin. I don't normally get starstruck, but it was like, I really wasn't expecting that with my prawn sandwich in my hand. So
can you sign the prawn sandwich actually?
Yeah, exactly. Sign the prawn sandwich. And there was another time Beyonce and Robbie Williams came in, and that was that was so great.
Cool. Oh my days.
Yeah. And then when I came second in that competition, I got the chance to go to the big concert that they were doing at Crystal Palace. And I met all of Take That, and then ended up in a photograph in the middle of Take That at their prime in the Evening Standard. So none of my friends wanted to talk to me when I went to college on the Monday morning. It was like, I can't believe you were next to Robbie and Gary. And that was a surreal moment for me. I was only 16. So obviously I'm kind of a bit goggly-eyed, like the whole world were
Yeah.
when Take That came out
I
with
mean,
Only Takes a Minute. So
yeah,
Gary gave me some good advice, and yeah, it was just a really, really, really surreal moment.
yeah. I mean, how do you go from that back to normality almost? It's like on Instagram the other week I saw there was this boxer. I can't remember. He I think he boxed for Ireland or Scotland or something like that, and he'd just been to whatever it was, sort of the event that they had for their country, and he'd boxed like professionally, and then he was like 16 as well,
Yeah.
same age, and then the Monday came back round and he
Yeah.
went back to school. And I just think, what's it like to go from such an extreme sort of high just back to the normal day
So
to day?
it was weird because I had to go and see my geography teacher on the Monday because I'd actually kind of missed one of the exams. I was doing my GCSEs,
Ah,
and I got a call from the TV show going back on Channel 4. It was called The Word, with Katie Puckrick and Terry Christian, and it was on every Friday night. So they basically had a slot which was for new demo bands, and I managed to get a slot, and then it got filled by another group, and then the director said, I really like you, and we've had another musical act drop out, would you like to take the slot? And I was like, wow, that would be amazing, that would be great. I found out it was actually LL Cool J.
oh my days.
Now I'm 16. I think 16 and 2 months old. I'm going to count the 2 months because I needed to be a bit wiser. I turned up, they sent a limousine to pick us up, me and three of my friends, unrehearsed, to Limehouse Studios in Wembley. We get there and they're like, you are playing live. There's a live audience of 300. And we're like, we're playing live. We've got like a little kind of CD in our hand to kind of do as a backing track. That's how unprofessional we were because we were kids.
Yeah.
And then they were like, you're going to be live in like half an hour and we're going to send you down to makeup, did our hair, makeup, everything. And the next thing we're through the door and the cameras are on and it's being broadcast around the whole of the UK. So that was Friday night. I got my first paycheck, which was a decent paycheck. The lady came up to with a little head set on and clipboard sign here when you used to have to deal with royalties and things. And then on the Monday morning, I've got my follow-up geography exam. Have you been studying rivers? And oh my God, like my head was just like, I'm not interested in that.
No. I mean, did you not sort of, I don't know, if it was me, I would have been like, oh man, I'm not going back to school. I'm just gonna, did that cross your mind?
It did, and I must admit, I got through my GCSEs. I just some of my friends and family were just like, just get your GCSEs. Don't do the A levels if you're going to kind of go for the music. On the very first day of sixth form, I went to see all of my teachers because they were actually really nice people and they'd really given me good support. And I just said, look, I'm not coming back. I'm leaving now. So I didn't stay for the A levels. I literally jumped ship. I done literally, I think it was a week. I done the inductions. And then I started going up to the studio at Soul to Soul and working with Tony Matthew, who was a producer there. And he was giving me backing tracks. He came kind of from the streets as well in North London, knew what was going on with the vibe and stuff. And it's brilliant because Tony knew Kenny Thomas. Kenny Thomas had just broke on the scene and had done really well. Kenny's obviously doing amazingly well at the moment. He's done a great kind of album and singles recently. He came on the radio show that I do. And it's just great to see that everybody's had that longevity of kind of staying out there doing what they love the most, music. So we've all kind of grown up together in different ways, and it's just been great to kind of experience that.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, to come up with the same people and still be all doing successful. That's what it's about. You want to see your mates do really well as yourself. It's a really big thing.
You can tell we're all getting old because when we used to get in the recording studio, it used to be like, well, I own 20% of that and you done one line and you did two lines and everybody was really precious. Now they're just like, we do it as a three-way split or this. Everyone's calmed down. We're all really nice in the studio and we all make cups of tea for each other now. So we're definitely getting old. So yeah, no, it's great. It's a great environment in the studio altogether. Yeah. And I'm back in tomorrow. I'm actually back in the studio in London tomorrow. So that's going to be, I'm so excited. I've got a really good single that we're putting down tomorrow.
Oh, cool. So recording again.
Recording tomorrow, yeah. I'm working with Jonas Westlin, who done Lady Gaga, which is just awesome to be in such great company. Wow. And I'm working with another artist called Thomas Kavanagh, who's done really well out in Nashville. He's a UK artist, but doing really well out in Nashville. I went to Nashville in October after Airplay out in the States. So yeah, it's just fantastic to kind of be working with him. So yeah, that will hopefully be in the next couple of months. Hopefully, we'll be looking for a release. We've done two tracks so far, and they're good. They're big tracks, so it'd be good to share.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, so it's exciting to see what's going to be coming up. So in terms of like making your music, is there something you look for inspiration?
No, do you know what? I'm one of these people. I love talking to anyone. I do. I'm terrible. You know, people say you shouldn't just talk to strangers. I just love people. And things happen to me. I'm a bit of a drama queen. If something's going to happen, it will happen to me, and then I've got the story. So I'll be late to something. You go, oh, I'll be like, oh, this happened, and blah blah. And my friends are like, don't lie. And I'm like, I'm not. It actually did happen to me. It really did. So I think my inspiration really comes from life around me, people. Experience and things. I don't really have a set way of writing a song. Sometimes I can kind of sit in a studio environment with a pad and kind of, you know, work with the team. Other times I might just have kind of an old envelope in my bag and a pen, and I've just thought of something and I'll scribble it down, or I'm walking along and I've got my audio going on my iPhone. That the track we're recording tomorrow, I literally had just sat in my seat on a British Airways flight, flying to the States. I thought, oh God, I've got this idea, this melody. And the plane hasn't even taken off, and I'm trying to, you know, when you have to put it onto the aeroplane mode, and the woman, the kind of air hostess is saying, "Sorry, you can't. You need to turn your phone off." And I'm singing into my phone, and the person next to me is looking at me like, "She's insane." My God, I've got her for like 9 hours on this flight.
And you're like, no, but listen to this. It's really,
exactly.
really good.
This is gonna be the next single. It's quite funny.
I promise you, it's worth it.
Yeah, but talking about things that happen, I was on that flight, managed to get an upgrade. You know, anybody that's listening, if you travel on your own, just dress really nice for the airport and be polite when you check in. There's every chance that they will give you an upgrade. So, you know, don't tell them I told you that. But, but I managed to get this upgrade. Had this guy, he was up and down like a yo-yo, getting his bags. And then he went to the toilet. So I thought I'll get my laptop down to write something.
Yeah.
And then we had turbulence. And his case fell out and hit me on the head.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
God
that
is always
really
watching.
hurt. It was one of those big, So that was interesting. I saw stars, and that was in front of the whole cabin. So I thought, why is it always me?
Yeah. I'm just trying to get some work done, honestly.
Exactly. I know. Someone's trying to kill me off before I can write my next song. It's like the universe telling me something. Yeah.
So for obviously when you're in the music industry, I think it's sort of and maybe an unspoken thing, but something that's getting talked about a bit more is obviously, you know, you've got the fame, you've got the money that comes with it. It's a big thing. It's important. But when you first started out and you were young, just sort of getting into music, was that something that was like the main motivator for you to get into it, or was there something else? Was it just for the love of it? What was it?
Just love music. My mum used to play Motown all the time, so the house was filled with music. So I've always had that love of music. I don't like silences, as you most probably gathered on this interview. Not that I feel awkward, and I know people say silence is golden. I do have quiet moments, but I think it's just really nice to have music around. And I think when I was younger, I used to sit there for ages and write lyrics and things. And it's weird. I can't play any instruments. I can play basic keys, but I hear the whole composition in my head. I can hear obviously when the kind of drums coming in, whether the bass is going to kind of kick in, where the vocals are going to do what harmony. So when I'm in a kind of studio environment, I'm really good to kind of go in and execute it and say, right, this is how it's going to be. The frustration is that I can't physically play that on the guitar to somebody and start just singing it like an Ellie Goulding or someone like that. But yeah, it's weird. I write, it's like I hear the whole composition in music in my head, then I lyrically write that music I've got in my head, and then I write the lyrics over the top, if that makes sense. That's kind of the way that I work. And then I kind of go in and then tell everybody what they're up to, and I'm Miss Bossy Boots in the studio. So
no, it's good. I mean, having listened to your single, and we will talk about that a little bit later on. But having listened to it, I can tell that you clearly know what you're doing. And you're really good at it. But if you I suppose if you don't know how to play the instruments, how do you kind of describe it to your team or the producers? what
It's
sort
really
of
interesting.
sound you want to go where.
Yeah, normally I kind of go in and I give like a kind of draft idea of the vocal. So the vocal will have the melody. It won't just be just the lyrical content of it being straight. So
Yeah.
it'll have the melody, as in somebody just singing a song aloud. Then obviously the guitarist will sit with me and then they start saying, right, I think this chord will work. And I'm saying, no, the chord isn't like that. It needs to be a little bit higher, a little bit lower, or whatever. Then I start singing back to them and we start gelling. And then it kind of starts taking the stepping stones. Then the drummer will start saying, right, okay, what kind of BPM do we want this is? Do we want a bit slower, a bit faster? The guitarist obviously is looking across the room at the kind of drummer. And then we start building it up. And then we just get to that point where we know that it's got that rhythmic kind of feel where it's working and you've got that energy at that right pace. Then the rest seems to kind of come together. It's quite organic, to be honest. It's kind of like layering. So that's how it seems to work, for me.
Okay, no, that's yeah, that makes sense. That's a really cool way to do it. That you're all invested together, and like you said before as well, it's the team that you've got around you, and it sounds like you've got a really good one where you all know what you're doing and get
I've got
on
some
as
lovely
well.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Kevin Hughes has been one of the most exceptional producers that I've worked with, and he has been a dear friend through the publisher now for over 20 years. Tony Matthew, Soul to Soul, again,
yeah.
exactly the same. So they're people that I've grown up with, and we look out for each other. But at the same time, there's a really good creative energy in the studio, which is great.
That's awesome. So, has there been any obstacles for you along the way making it?
Yes.
Anything that you
Every
would?
day is an obstacle.
Yeah,
No, I'm a real optimist, but I just think the industry as a whole is just so. I think some people think that they can just instantly have that success. I've done a song, I'm going to release it, I'm going to get it. It's easy. Oh, why did you not do that sooner or whatever? I think success is valued like an iceberg. It's kind of, if people can see the top of the iceberg and
yeah.
you're at the top and you're waving, it's like, oh, you succeeded. They don't see what went on underneath to nurture you to get to that kind of the top part of it. The industry is really hard to kind of get noticed. I think there's a lot of people out there that are kind of becoming celebrities without actually having a real skill. It's their personality, which having a personality, is something that is important to connect with people. But the valuation of kind of someone's personality to music and someone playing an instrument or singing or whatever are two very different things. So I think it's very hard in the industry to get the right attention. Sometimes it's overabsorbed with lots of people that can get away with not actually having that much talent, but they actually know how to work the machine the way that the industry is. It's also how you look, what the demand is on the street. A lot of people on Instagram are kind of, kicking things off and making a name for themselves without needing a record label. So in honesty, I think the challenge is, as soon as you get past that kind of 20 to the 25 stage and kind of looks and all of the things that make the marketing machine work, it does get harder and harder. So I think the challenge every day for me is thinking out of the box, thinking of ways to engage with media so that you get that right attention and creating your own opportunities. That phone is not going to ring. It's hard enough to get people to respond because everyone's so busy, even with internet, email and everything. You've got to be persistent. And I think that's the challenge, really. If you haven't got tenacity and you don't hear back in the first couple of emails and you think that's it, you're not going to get anywhere. You've just got to keep going and going and going and not be ignored. I think a lot of people in this industry are ignored. They're very talented, but you have got to stand and scream and shout and make sure people start taking notice for you to take them steps forward. It took me quite a long time, even though I was confident. You sometimes think, well, I sent that email or I sent that demo tape in. I haven't heard back. They're not interested. Sometimes they haven't even got it. It's gone onto the wrong desk. So make sure you follow it up. Make sure you're persistent and be a pain. Be a pain. If you want to be a DJ, if you want to be a kind of singer, if you want to kind of an audition for a band or need management, be a pain and keep contacting until you get the answer. If it's a yes, great. If it's a no, then you know to close that door. But until that door is definitely a no, don't close it. Just kind of be persistent.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's really, really powerful advice. It reminds me of something I think Demi Lovato said on a podcast, that when she was trying to make it, she had somebody's number from MTV and she just constantly emailed or called, constantly rung them. 2 years, she wouldn't get anything back at all until he gave her somebody else's number. He actually told her to leave him alone and just stop calling her.
Stop being a stalker.
Yeah. And she said, fine, give me somebody else's number. She did. And then I think it was within the first phone call, she showed this person what she had done, like for her work and everything. And then, she got the gig as an MTV presenter.
It's amazing what the world presents. And the reason I got my management deal, this is actually quite an amazing story. My friends thought I was lying, and I've got the proof. So nobody judge. Okay? But literally, a manager came up to me through a mutual contact, and he said, "I've got somebody that is basically doing some kind of demo takes and stuff for an album in the States. He's a rapper, I was okay, fine. He said, would you like to kind of do some kind of, just ad libs over the track? This is it. He played it to me. I said, oh yeah, great. And it's fantastic. Who's the guy? His name's Marshall, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, fine. Didn't think anything of it. Did the takes, gave it back. I actually got my publishing company to take notice of the opportunity I got. I didn't make it onto the actual track because quite a lot of other people knew who this person was. I then found out that it was actually Eminem.
No way. Marshall Mathers. Craziness.
Yeah. And I have got the rough take still of Marshall, of Eminem and me with the track. And that was when I was, I think, 17, coming up to 18. Yeah. And what happened was they were looking for someone else to feature, and it ended up being Dido.
It was the Stan song. Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So it wasn't the Stan song that I actually demoed on. It was just kind of like, he was just vibing, doing some stuff in the studio, but they wanted someone to kind of fill in the gaps. And so I played that to a few people recently, and they're going, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I want to hear it.
I will.
SG1 wants to hear it. That is awesome.
It's really cool. I don't know if he's going to sue me now because obviously I've got but obviously it was through the management, so it was all above board.
Wow.
Yeah,
what
there
a
you
story.
go.
That is craziness.
I know, that's a pretty cool story.
That is really cool.
I was thinking about it recently. I thought,
no, that's impressive. That. Yeah, that is really. I especially at that age, I don't think anyone can really say that. They've
all
done
I can
that.
say is, damn you, Dido, you're too talented.
Yeah. It's all...
exactly, and beautiful too. Yeah. So So lots of lessons learned. So
definitely. So let's talk about the single a little bit. So in terms of how I suppose, how did it all start? How did because obviously you hadn't quite made any music independently yet. So what's the story of how it all came to light?
So there were 3 singles. Yeah, we had 3 singles. We had Dear Diary, Wine and Roses, and the most recent single was Simple. They have all been produced by Kevin Hughes and Paul Mosul, and I've worked with them obviously for a very long time, especially Kevin, because Kevin picked the reins up because the demos have been sitting around for a while. So he's kind of gone back to the production side of it, remastered everything. So he's really kind of a labor of love. And the single Simple was something that I just think so many people go on a journey in life with love and things, and you're looking for something, and you think that you need to find that right relationship. Then all of a sudden it comes to you when you're least expecting it. And really that's what Simple is about. So I heard the demo, obviously the music side of that had been put down already, so I can't claim that. But from the performance side and everything, this was kind of a new journey, because the original was completely different to what we ended up with. So I obviously went in and put my mark with kind of the way that I felt that the melodies and the movement of the track should be through my vocals. And then we just went through transition with that. Once I went out to Nashville, I had an idea that I wanted to put something that had a bit more of the American vibe. I think that's why it done so well in the States. It's a very fine line between a UK track and an American track. They have more of them dry, like driven rock pop tracks. So I think it had more with the guitars and kind of it being a bit more up tempo. The new tracks that I'm doing as well are definitely more driven and have got really a real kind of more of a kick-ass kind of like edge to the way that we're kind of doing them. So they're very driven on the choruses and things. And I think as I'm growing, I'm getting more confident with vocals and showing off a little bit more, where I used to kind of stay in my little safe space in the studio. I'm experimenting more. And I think it's actually giving me that chance to perform the way that I've always dreamt of performing. It's taken me a long time, but I'm slowly getting there, which is great. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And it's I should have been more specific, but the single that I was talking about specifically was Simple, and yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a really good single, and I like the message behind it as well. I didn't know that, and that's I think that's really cool. So
Yeah, I think lots of people can relate to it, but I think it's kind of lots of songs are very lovey-dovey when you're kind of doing the kind of music I'm doing, and everyone's like, oh, you've written that for a woman and whatever. I think that the kind of good thing about Simple was the way that it reacted with guys as well, because they were kind of, I can resonate with that, and I think it made a bit of a universal connection, which was good. It helped with my YouTube and all of the other things and hits and stuff, and it really did work. So now I've got a bit of a formula of how things work. It's like I can nurture and put it into the next single and keep building. That's the plan.
That's so important to do, to reach all audiences as well. It's not an easy thing to do, so that's impressive as well. And that there's more in the pipeline as well, which is really exciting.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got 2 gems on the way, which is great. So
there's there's an album potentially on the way. Is there much you can say?
Albums aren't making that much money unless you're a mega kind of Ed Sheeran or a Taylor Swift and stuff. I think EPs are a better way to get it out than giving all your material in one go. So yeah, I would say there is an album. There's mostly about 3 or 4 albums worth of material with the amount of work that I've been doing the last few months. But I just think kind of going the single route is kind of a good one. There will be an album at some point, but I'm just desperate to get live. The next year, that is the challenge, to get this live. I've had a few really good opportunities over the last few months about next year.
Exciting.
So that's the aim. That's what I want to work on.
Festivals or gigs or all of it?
A little mixture, lots of different things that have come up. There's some bigger artists that have kind of taken me under their wing as well, which is great. So I had a wonderful thing actually happen a few months back with Rick Astley, which was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he heard my single, one of the BBC locals, and literally sent an email in saying, absolutely love the track. It just blew up on social media. Wow. So it's like, thank you, Rick Astley. What a start. So it's just lovely when other people that are kind of that kind of status in the industry nurture and support other people. It's brilliant. And take the time.
I think for them to do that, it says a lot, because like you say, their status and everything, it's that would mean a lot to somebody who's not quite as up there as them. I
thought it was a wind up at first. I was like,
what fake account is this?
So it was just so nice. It put it on Insta, everything. It went out, linked over to. So it was just really supportive. So you can't ask for more than that, can you?
No, for sure. Yeah, that's. It's a massive confidence boost as well. It's like, okay, what I'm doing is working.
Oh, my new friend.
One moment it's just Rick on the phone, like,
especially after Glastonbury. It's like, come on, who doesn't want to feel like that?
Exactly. That's awesome. So, ladies and gentlemen, yes, you heard it here first. Malissa Whitehouse. Check out the latest single, Simple, and as well as the other 2 gems, and the other 2 gems that are incoming as well.
Oh, I love the way you promoted that. The 2 gems. But maybe the album should be called The Gems. There you
maybe
go.
It should. Okay, I like that. Treasure chest, full of gems. Maybe something like that.
Gems. Anything sparkly. Us girls like sparkly diamonds.